Good morning, everybody. It is day 4, and I've already taken my protein shake, taken my supplements, and now I'm getting ready to eat my oatmeal. Got my coffee made already as well. This morning, I actually feel really good. I woke up just before the alarm clock went off, which is fantastic, not having to wake up to that thing. And I actually have quite a bit of energy this morning, and I think that's because last night I went to bed at 9 o'clock, which is actually pretty early. I normally go to bed around 10:30, so I'm going to bed at 9. Definitely made a big difference this morning, which I guess I really needed to sleep because yesterday I was feeling a little bit more tired than usual. So
I wish I was out camping somewhere, waking up to this instead of walking next to a freeway. But eventually I get out there to the mountains or the desert or the river and go camping and get to wake up to this. Okay, so today I feel significantly better than I did yesterday. Not that I felt bad yesterday, but I was tired. I felt a little bit more tired than usual when I woke up just because of I don't know. I mean, I'm busier at work than usual, and then pushing the way I'm pushing isn't any different than what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks, months. Cardio's not any different really, so it's just sometimes I guess it just happens. Your body just gets a little worn out. So I went to bed early like I talked about earlier, and that made a really big difference on the way I feel today, which I'm excited about to see how today goes. I feel like yesterday was extremely successful. The biggest thing I hate is the next day, whenever like I wake up or throughout the day, I start analyzing or thinking about what I did previously. It's like, man, did I push as hard as I could have in the gym? Was I focused as much as I should have been? Did I give it everything I had? Did I leave anything on the table? And I know some guys talk about reps in reserve. Don't push to failure. Don't hit failure. Don't go past failure. Yada, 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 yada. I don't care how other people train. Like, you train the way that best fits your style and what you need. And that's what I do. And if I feel like I left reps in the tank, if I feel like I could have pushed heavier, or I feel like I left anything on the table, I feel like it was a waste of a day and I didn't make any progress. And if I did, it wasn't the progress that I could have made if I would have applied myself harder. And I can say today, thinking about it on the way to work this morning, I definitely applied myself yesterday. My cardio, my gym session, especially my gym session, right? I went incredibly hard on my arms last night. Incredibly hard. I don't think I could have pushed any harder if I wanted to be completely honest. So, and that's the type of training that I like to do. It makes me feel accomplished, like I did something. And everybody's different. Everybody wants something else, or they're after something else, or they have a different idea of what's optimal. That's a buzzword a lot of people use, optimal. You don't want to train to failure, you want to train optimal. You don't want to train to blah, 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 blah. It's optimal. Like, especially all these older guys now. And it cracks me up because they're like, you don't have to be sore to grow. You don't have to be sore to make progress. You don't have to be sore to get results. You only need to train your body about 6 sets total, 3 times a week with a high to mild intensity, and that's all you need. But then you look at what they did in the past, and it's like, that's not what you were doing, buddy. That's what you're doing now to maintain your size and strength in your late 50s. But that is not what you did in your 20s and 30s and 40s whenever you're an elite fucking lifter. Elite, power lifter or bodybuilder. That's not even remotely close to what you used to do. And if you did what you're doing today back then, I don't think you would have had the numbers, the lifts, and the look that you had today, that you had back then. So I don't look at what anyone's doing today. I look at what they did back then and what got them to where they are now. Because what you're doing now won't work for you later. And as you grow and get older, your style and training and your stimulus, everything has to change. It evolves with your body as you get older. So I just thought that's comical whenever guys sit there and say all this, what I like to call just fluff, right? I'm gonna try to sound smarter than I am, and I'm gonna make it more complicated than it needs to be. Look, pick stuff up. If it feels too light, make it heavier. If you feel like you can do more reps, right? If it feels too heavy, take some weight off. And just push as hard as you can while you're in the gym. and get the most out of it that you can while you're in there. And that's how you're gonna make the most results. Not listen to this guy or that guy, or, oh, this guy said this technique. Well, this guy said to rotate your wrist 3/4 of an inch at a 32-degree angle. And then once you get that 32-degree angle, you want to come up just to 47 degrees on your arm. You don't want 45. 45 is a bad number. You want a 47-degree angle. And once you hit that 47-degree angle with a 3/4 inch wrist turn inwards, what you're gonna do is you're gonna squeeze and flex, blink your eyes 18 times, and that's how you know you've been in contraction long enough. And then you're gonna stretch until you feel a pop in your elbow. Once you feel the pop in the elbow, you know you've hyperextended and you're at optimal stretching potential. And your muscles are gonna be full stretch as much as you could possibly get. What? Just pick it up, man. Pick it up as many times as you can and put it down. I'm going on a rant now. I can get into all that later about the whole stretching the muscle tissue, which I think is silly. I always look at it like a balloon, right? If you take a balloon and you blow a balloon up, it blows outward, right? It swells up. If you put water in that balloon, it swells outwards, right? But if you take that balloon with both your hands and you pull it apart and you stretch it, what happens? It gets skinny. And then you let it go and it goes right back to where it was. It's like a rubber band, but a balloon, right? But if you pump a bunch of water in there, now it swells up. And once you swell a balloon up so big, even if you deflate it, it still stays stretched out. Well, that's what I feel muscle fibers like a balloon. You can stretch it all day from end to end, but until you start filling it up with fluid, it's not gonna stay big. I mean, your muscles are basically balloons for water. The more carbohydrates you eat, the more water your muscles hold. You train your muscles to hold more water. There's 70% water, your body's 70% water. You're a big water balloon. So carbohydrates are 2-part water. When you eat carbohydrates, then you're putting water in the muscle. So you train your muscles to become bigger balloons to hold more water so you can eat more water-based food like carbohydrates and put more water in the muscle, stretching out the balloon more and more and more. So it gets to its max capacity. But again, that's a whole another rant I'll get into some other time. I know I kind of started it, but I'm gonna finish my walk now and enjoy the sunrise.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that stretching doesn't work or it's not useful or viable or it has its place, because I do believe it's very important to get a good stretch. But because if you think about DC training, if you don't know what DC training is, go look it up. Their biggest principle is stretching. Like after a heavy hard set, you stretch. You do what's called extreme stretching to stretch the muscle fibers, and they swear that works. So it only makes sense that, like, well, if extreme stretching after a hard set when the muscle's pumped up with blood is efficient, then why wouldn't stretching the muscle to an extreme while in the middle of the lift wouldn't be effective either? So I can see the argument for it, and I can see why some people would side with it, and I can even see why some people would have very great success from it. But me personally, it never really did anything for me. I just felt like it limited the amount of weight that I could use that I needed to spark new growth from a stress that was heavy enough to cause my body to have to respond to. So that's just me personally from my personal experience. Plus, I think some people just get carried away with it and they try to make it more scientific to sound like they're more educated and smarter than the rest of all the gym bros, when it's just simply like, just get the deep stretch, hold it for a second or two, and then come back up and flex. It's that simple. And they just try to overcomplicate it. So if that's your style and you have to overcomplicate it and that's what gets you through the gym session, do it. I don't care. More power to you. Hey, if you're bigger, better, and sexier than I am, hey, what the hell do I know, right? All I know is what I like to do because simply I like doing it. And that's what, honestly, what everybody should do, as long as you're not wrecking yourself. Sweet sound of victory. Another day down. I'm about to go to the gym. Oh, of course, gotta take the pee pills. Animal Cuts. The pee begin. For those of you who don't understand what I mean by pee pills, that is a product from Animal called Animal Cuts, and it has a diuretic in it that causes you to shred water weight, making you pee a tremendous amount. And the kicker is though, they tell you to drink tons of water, more than what you're used to. So it's like, is the pills really making me lose water, or am I just peeing a lot because I'm drinking additional water? I'm gonna hit this one. This is my top set. I did 12 with the 35s, the 45s, the 55s. So this is my top set on the 65s. I'm gonna do this for a rest pause until I can't hit at least 5. And I'm probably gonna hit a drop on it. Normally I go about 10 breaths, 15 breaths. But I don't know how long I was talking, so let's go ahead and get it again. Like 6 or 7, something like that. Trick to this too, if you need more rest, breathe slower. But if you want to hurry up and get to it, just breathe faster. But try to be consistent with the time. All right, here we go. Okay, that's 6, one more. Now that I got 3 sets of rest pause over 5, I cut this rest pause a lot shorter. Okay, now let's hit a drop set. And I want your step, don't trip. Let's go ahead and cut it down to the 45s. We'll go one rest pause on this. 4. All right, good start to chest night. Okay, up next we're doing dumbbell press, and this is my 5th set actually. I'm trying to go for 5 sets of 20, and if I hit 20 with the 55s next week, I'll go up to 60. If I don't hit 20 with this, then I'll stick with this until I do hit 20 on the 55s, and then I'll go up from there. Because this is my volume work for the night right here. Oh, 21 to grow on. All right, so that means next week when I come in, I'm gonna tackle the 60s and see if I can get the 60s for 20 reps. So that means I'll do 5 sets pyramiding up. You know, so I'll do like the 40, 45, 50, 55, and then 60s. If I hit 20 next week with those, I'll go up and I'll build my way all the way up to the heaviest dumbbells doing it this way. Because like I said, the incline was my high intensity. This is my high volume. And now I'm gonna go to dips, and dips is gonna be another like high intensity movement for me. Alright, drop set. I like to rest a lot shorter on these when I do rest on this because it seems like I recover a little bit quicker for this movement than others. There's no balancing or stability, so it's just pressing, so it's easier to go into it pretty quickly. One more might be it. One more. And that felt really good. Okay, last thing I do for my chest is I get some high volume in and I superset pec deck with low cable crossovers. And I try to do this between 12 to 15 reps. So I keep it decently light. All I'm trying to do on these two is get a stretch in the muscle. I know, it's like, man, didn't you just talk all that trash today about the stretch and blah, 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 blah. I never said it was pointless. I just feel like some people try to take it too far and make it like dogma, where it's like the only way to do things. I think the stretch is important. I just think on the movement, certain movements it's good, certain movements it's not necessarily that important.
3 to 4 sets of each one. All right, let's take a look at this pump, see if it was worth half the workout. Yeah, that's not so bad. Given it's Thursday and I'm starting to deplete on carbohydrates, so I'm losing a lot of muscle volume from the depletion. And then probably the worst thing about training chest after arms is on dumbbell press. My triceps are already tender, so I don't feel like I can push as hard. So it's like, well, why don't you put chest before arms? And that's because arms is a longer night than chest, and I have soccer practice because I'm a coach. So I don't have the time. So maybe next week, since this is the last week of the season, I might be able to switch them around and stuff like that. All right, let's do some flexing here. All right, hands on the hip. Let's get this up because thighs just make it look right. You know, if you don't have your thighs out, I don't know, the posing just doesn't look correct to me. Okay. Okay, hands on the hip. Oh yeah, that's coming along. I mean, look at that striation right there. I wish. All right, let's do crab. Okay, not too bad. Let's see if we still have it on the front lat spread. Our front double bicep. Yeah, still disappears. It's not too bad. Okay. And then let's do the side chest. See, I never understood. Are you looking at this? Or are you looking at here? Is the side chest the inner pec or the outer pec, or is it both? Either way it goes, it's just not a good pose for me. I don't think this would ever be a strong pose for myself. Yeah, I just don't think this is ever going to be a good pose for me. Yeah, I think my legs are my only saving grace for this pose, and maybe my delts, like my shoulders. Man, not too bad for 234. My stomach is starting to get better too. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still a fat tub of shit, but like, I'm not as bad as I was. All right, well, I gotta go on my walk, and I got soccer practice tonight, so that's about all the time I can afford to look at myself. Hey. All right, let's go do cardio. That was a really good workout. I feel like I pushed myself about as hard as I could have on my chest. I don't feel like I left anything in the tank. I feel like tonight was very successful. Now, back to what I was saying about the stretch. I know I went on a rant this morning about it, but I do feel like there is a time and place for stretching. Certain movements that are designed for the stretch, dumbbell flies, regardless, incline, decline, flat, cable crossovers, pec deck. There are certain movements that are just naturally designed to have a very deep stretch to them. Then there's other ones that are not designed. Like, I don't know, use your imagination. I'm not going to really get into it. But I just feel like there are some movements that are better used in a shorter range of motion and some that are better in a much larger plane of motion. Like, I would never sacrifice range of motion to go heavy on cable crossovers, dumbbell flies, or pec deck. But then there's other movements that I wouldn't sacrifice weight for range of motion. And I feel like the weight is more important than the range of motion. And it just depends on the lift and what you're after and what you're trying to achieve. So I do feel like there is a give and take on certain movements. And like I said, there's no such thing as right or wrong. It's what's best for you and fits your needs and what your goals are and what works best for your body and what you're after. But anyways, I'm gonna finish this walk and I'll see you guys in the next one.